Hi guys and welcome to another Fool of the Week. This week's Fool is Michelle Dewberry from GB News. Now she's absolutely livid with Keir Starmer and his government for what she sees as a clampdown on working class British people who are just concerned about immigration or wanting their country back, whatever that means, and are then rioting about it, when other groups are doing pretty much the same and not getting punished. So of course she ignores the context here, the context of 3 children being murdered and people being bussed in with a beer in hand to cause as much damage as possible. Those ripping up concrete blocks and lobbing them at the police while intoxicated were not doing so in memory of the victims. This was thuggish behaviour. But while Michelle may pretend to be concerned about the right of British working class people, her real fear could be closer to home.
Right, so I am a tough on law and order kind of girl. Anyone that watches my show, they'll hear me loads of times saying, you know, be tougher, be tougher, be tougher. Many people will have an issue with the fact that we have seen riots and violent disorder in this country. So I can think, for example, Hare Hills, Leeds. Where was the address to the nation? Nowhere. I can tell you that for free. We've seen other violent reactions. We've seen mob rule in society. We've seen collections of people descending on police stations. I'm thinking about places like Rochdale, dictating what will and won't happen in various different cases. Where was the clampdown, the tough on law and order? Nowhere. The second that white working class Britons have the audacity to take to the streets about something that they're passionate about, boom, out comes the we're really tough on you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. People are furious. They feel that there is a two-tier approach.
Okay. So once again, this has nothing to do with the attacks. This is about protecting a narrative. And GB News are probably concerned that the new Labour government is going to clamp down on the narratives that are being pushed by right-wing media and on social media. So we've already seen Farage change his tune. Now he hasn't done a U-turn here. He's still anti-immigration. He's still xenophobic, but he's not using the same sort of rhetoric he was in the past. You notice that he's starting to ask questions instead of make statements. So this is his way of getting around certain problems. And for GB News, they're speaking to a certain audience, so they can't really do that. They have to be more on the nose. But there's a risk for them that they're going to go too far. And, you know, while the Conservatives, when it came to Ofcom, were hands off in a sense, allowed GB News to do pretty much what they wanted, I hope, and perhaps we'll see, a Labour government take a different approach. Because we've seen lies and misinformation being pumped out on a daily basis from GB News. And we've seen how they've had to do U-turns and say, oh, sorry, we said this and it was wrong, or we said that and it was wrong. And then when they are eventually challenged by Ofcom, they say, we're actually not a news channel, we're an entertainment outlet. So they're going to try every trick in the book to continue to push their narrative, but they're probably afraid at the moment that a new government is going to clamp down on this sort of rhetoric, because this rhetoric, this anti-immigration rhetoric, or this idea that there's two-tier policing, is fueling the types of rioting that we saw recently. It's giving fuel to the people who believe that there's a conspiracy, that the government is only interested in protecting one section of society at the expense of another. GB News has to be very careful about what they say going forward, because there's a real risk to them that they'll get shut down over this. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.